Health officials tackling yet another wave of COVID-19. An interesting revelation surfaces during a drug arraignment, and WSC's general manager placed on leave. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Tuesday, December 28th. Another wave of COVID hits the country as numbers continue to rise and health officials closely monitor the new Omicron variant. Our Laurencia Smith spoke with Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville outside of Cabinet this morning. Here she is with the detail.
The Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Darville, has confirmed with reporters this morning before the weekly Cabinet meeting that the country is now in a fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, with nearly 600 COVID cases confirmed in country between Thursday, December 23rd and Saturday, December 25th. Minister Darville says the main objective is to ride this wave with little collateral damage as possible before the Omicron variant wreaks havoc here in the Bahamas.
We are definitely in the fourth wave, and our job now as a country and as the Ministry of Health to begin now to prevent that aggressive exponential growth, because you must remember that the waves, they don't last forever, and it's how we handle the wave will determine what our end outcome would be. And I would like for it to be with as minimum impact as possible, without shutting down the country, without limiting the movement of people, and for us to demonstrate to the world that we can be responsible.
Health officials reported a combined total of more than 400 positive cases between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. But despite these startling numbers, fortunately, there are only some 19 cases hospitalized. However, Dr. Darville did admit that the Princess Margaret Hospital is facing manpower issues.
As it stands right now, at the Princess Margaret Hospital, we have about 16 to 18 patients with COVID. We have some challenges because some of the wards and some of the doctors and nurses have been exposed, which has definitely affected our manpower resources. But with that being said, it is our responsibility now to devise and move into additional steps in our plans to be able to function effectively while we monitor what's going on with the Omicron and its person-to-person transmission in the country.
Meantime, the Health and Wellness Minister says that officials are hoping that individuals take responsibility and follow the COVID guidelines and rules.
Our rules are clear. We will not approve any large gatherings because they can be potential super spread events. But with that being said, there's no curfew, there's no lockdown, and people have to be responsible. I think we are at the point right now in the country where Bahamians have come to the realization that the virus would be around for some time. And we have to have commerce. We have to have our businesses open. It's important to be responsible, and we're calling Bahamians everywhere to be responsible.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is expected to hold a press conference no later than Thursday, according to Dr. Darville, to address the current COVID-19 climate in the country and the government's next move. I'm Laurencia Smith for JCN News.
Thanks, Laurencia. And with that said, the health minister on Sunday announced new measures, a shift in protocols for large gatherings, citing that over the last few days, health officials have seen sharp increase in persons testing positive for COVID-19. Dr. Darville also noted that the Omicron variant is the most highly transmissible COVID variant yet, causing soaring case numbers across the world, with many countries seeing exponential growth and their highest case counts yet since the start of the pandemic, and suggested that we should expect the same here. Now, while Dr. Darville says there are no easy answers for dealing with the coming surge in cases, and care must be taken to strike the right balance between our country's health crisis and economic well-being, adding that the government won't simply shut down all economic activity. However, he adds that we can all work together on multiple fronts to slow the transmission of this virus and reduce the impact of our families and our hospitals. To that end, officials are tightening rules for entering the country in order to reduce the number of cases that are imported. They have also taken the decision to suspend or cancel approvals for large gatherings effective immediately. Gatherings with more than 30 people outdoor and 20 people indoor will not be permitted until further notice. Well, National Security Minister Wayne Munro chiming in on the Ministry of Health's decision to suspend and cancel all large gatherings. Minister Munro telling reporters that only ad hoc events are being canceled as questions were raised with regards to hotels continuing activities during the pandemic.
So if a hotel is running its facilities, they're able to run their facility. A mass event would be one that requires a temporary license from the Commissioner of Police. If I have a hotel, if I have a bar in the hotel, that's an amenity of the hotel. Just like restaurants are permitted to operate as well. So it is just the ad hoc events that are being targeted.
Minister Monroe says hotel licenses have not been canceled. As for events that may occur to bring in the new year, the National Security Minister says no approvals will be granted for any large events.
So if you do not have an approval for a mass event, there's no point coming to the Commissioner of Police, and the police are quite equipped to shut down unapproved parties.
What can be considered as one of the most high-profile cases before the magistrate's court on Tuesday involved two men from Venezuela who were caught smuggling over $25 million worth of suspected cocaine into the southern Bahamas last week. The men appeared in court to face charges related to 3,142 pounds of suspected cocaine that was seized by the Drug Enforcement Unit. Argerino Saunders was at the court and files this report.
29-year-old Luis Perez and 64-year-old Jamie DeFacumo from Venezuela had their day in court on Tuesday in connection with that multi-million-dollar drug seizure on Crooked Island. Almost a week ago, the two men were arrested at the Colonel Hill Crooked Island Airport after the airplane they flew into Crooked Island was found to have at least 1,254 kilos of cocaine on board. The amount, 3,142 pounds, worth more than $25 million on the streets. Appearing before Magistrate Samuel McKinney, Perez and DeFacumo both face 4 counts, including conspiracy to possess dangerous drugs with the intent to supply, possession of dangerous drugs with the intent to supply, conspiracy to import dangerous drugs, and the importation of dangerous drugs, namely cocaine. Both men pleaded guilty to all 4 charges. The prosecutor's summary explained that police officers on Crooked Island were alerted to an unidentified aircraft landing at the Colonel Hill Airport. Upon investigation, officers found the 2 men standing next to the airplane. The officers conducted a search of the airplane where they discovered 44 large bags and 12 plastic-wrapped packages later confirmed to contain cocaine. Perez and DeFacumo were then arrested and detained for possession of dangerous drugs. The prosecutor's summary went on to say that in a subsequent interview, both Perez and DeFacumo say they face tough economic times in Venezuela, and they admitted to police while under caution that they were contracted to fly the cocaine from Venezuela to Crooked Island for a fee of $50,000. They were unaware of exactly how much cocaine was on the aircraft. The twin-engine King Air with no registration or serial number has been seized by the Crown. However, DeFacumo was able to provide the court with the erased tail number of the aircraft. Asked by the prosecutor if they had any comments or questions before sentencing, both Perez and DeFacumo, speaking through their translator, vehemently noted that the prosecutor's summary did not include their statements in regards to the actions of police officers stationed on Crooked Island. Both men claimed that a chief police officer was to receive the suspected cocaine and subsequently put them on a fast boat that would take them to the Dominican Republic. The 2 men say they were only arrested after the fact. DeFacumo told the judge his only job was to fly the airplane to Crooked Island and leave it. He said they admitted to their guilt, but all of the facts should be heard. Their questions were not answered. As for sentencing, the magistrate took into consideration their guilty plea and not wasting the court's time, but noted the seriousness of the crime due to the type of drugs and the large amount of drugs. Instead of the maximum 7-year sentence, both men were sentenced to 5 years and a $100,000 fine or an extra year in prison. The younger of the 2, Perez, became emotional during the sentencing. Both Perez and DeFacumo have the right to appeal the sentence within the next 7 days. Argerino Saunders for JCN News.
Thanks,